about the future of our youth. They do not seem to understand the fact that elections will never ever be won on social sentiment such as your Instagrams, your Twitters. They add to nothing.
Even going into the future, you don't think in the near future all that will change?
Not in the next foreseeable election cycles. No.
Did the 1 week extension help the APC in Lagos State? I'm asking you that because I'm wondering if it was a strategy of the APC, for instance, to ensure that people who did not look Yoruba were not allowed to vote.
No, you see, it's rather unfortunate that in this part of the world we are still yet to understand that electioneering, campaigning demands a lot of work, hard work. Election is not mathematics, it's arithmetic.
What's the difference between mathematics and arithmetic?
Arithmetic essentially it's about figures, addition and subtractions. Mathematics it's a science. You need to understand this. You are not looking for X or Y, or your Y, if it's raised to X, Y power will give you this. No. In election, it's about 1, 2, 3. You add, you subtract. You don't even multiply. You don't divide. And unless you understand it, unless you know how to look at the figures, you may not be able to do the addition or the subtraction. You must understand that there are several dynamics, demography, cultural setting. And when you are looking at those things, you begin to juxtapose,
yes,
compartmentalized issues appropriately to where they should be.
Okay, so in compartmentalizing those issues,
election, those factors are what I call the religious factor, which is the MMT. There are members of our parties who did not vote for the party at the presidential election because of their religious belief.
The Muslim ticket.
Yeah, the MMT.
Yes.
The cultural setting, because the first determinant of the outcome of any election is the cultural setting. The cultural setting speaks to issues like a voting pattern. It looks at voting behavior of X, Y, Z demography. And unless you interrogate these issues, you may not get it. So we knew that the election was going to be about MMT. So all we were trying to do, therefore, is to do a lot of engagement, explaining the dangers inherent, pleading for us to look at the merit of the candidates that are on the top. I've had to speak with those who were likely or who voted along the MMT lines.
Yes.
And part of the thing they say is, in 8 years of Muhammadu Buhari, it was Muslim presidency. And now that the presidency is coming to the south, if we do not have a Christian president, it means they will need to wait for another 8 years, that the chances that a Muslim candidate will spring up and make it cumulatively 24 years of Muslim presidency.
Yes.
They don't think it's fair, but they've forgotten that it's about numbers. 2019 election exposed very clearly the vulnerability of Christian votes. It's about participation. What is the percentage of profiled voters that may be Muslim? What is the percentage of profiled voters that are likely to be Christian? The last 4 or 5 election cycles, what have been their participation? Some of us knew as far back as 2019 that should any party fields a Muslim ticket, that party will likely win. Because 2019 election has shown it, give us the same results over and over and over.
What, in your opinion, can change that narrative? Is it for more get involved in the process?
It's not about Christians getting more involved in the process, because when you talk about the process,
Yes.
you also need to understand that it is getting involved in how you use your plebiscite, your sovereignty. I say some things and I continue to say it, that part of our problems in this country is that good people leaves the space for imbeciles who will now make imbecilic laws for good people to obey.
Okay.
And until we change that narrative, until we all sit down again to say, you know what, I'm not going to bother myself about religion or about where XYZ comes from. I want to bother myself about me and how I use my plebiscite. How do I transfer my sovereignty
Yes.
to someone who will keep it for me and act on my behalf? Because that is all voting is about. When you go out to cast your ballot, you are transferring your sovereignty
Yes.
to that man that you are voting. And you know what I've been doing the last 2 years, going around talking to, our children, the millennials and the, Gen Zs, that the law is very clear. You don't like a political party, you don't like the candidates they've presented,
Yes.
you have a responsibility to speak out. That responsibility is in using your tongue to speak out. Go out there, void your ballot. It will be counted as a voided vote.
Wow.
It has a threshold.
Yes.
Once that threshold is arrived at, that election stand cancelled automatically. It's the same thing about, the law is very clear. If the number of voided votes is greater than the difference between the winner and the runners up,
Yes.
that election, may stand invalidated, or to the extent,
Yes.
and that is what happened in Adamawa. We may likely see it happen again in a state in the southwest, where there are agitations that the number of, ballots that were voided was about 40,000, and the difference in vote was about 31,000. That will not hold if it is established. So therefore, we need to start the education that we must all speak out. And unless we speak out,
Yes.
we may find ourselves, unfortunately, in the quagmire which we have created in 2023.
Do you think the tribunal will change anything about that result? In your mind, is it a fait accompli?
Which result?
The
Is it
presidential
the
election?
presidential
Yes.
election? No, it's a fait accompli. You see, when we go to court, it is not so much about the legality of the issue. It's also about fact, and it's also about the society.
Okay, in other words, even if we've seen this happen at the governorship level,
Yeah.
certificate of return is withdrawn from the
Yes.
governor-elect and given to somebody else. You do not anticipate that it will ever happen at the presidential
I will
level?
not use the word ever,
Yes.
but I don't think it will happen this time around. And part of my understanding and my take
Yes.
is one of the appellants says, I'm not challenging the outcome, rather I'm challenging the process. Smart.
Yes. He says the commission should be transparent enough.
That's why I
to
said
be
smart.
scrutinized.
Yes, smart. And all it's saying is, in my opinion, I don't think that we have put something over nothing. Hence, it's challenge of the process. So the moment that process meets the threshold as envisaged by the Electoral Act 2022 as well as the guidelines and regulation of INEC, then he is satisfied.
Okay, so what then would be the aim if you are challenging the process?
Yeah. No,
the
if your
outcome of
challenge
that?
does not meet up
Yes, what would
the minimum standard expected,
of an
then
election?
then the case stands thrown out.
So at best, what we're expecting from these challenges, these petitions, is not a change of the president-elect.
No, I think what the appellant is challenging, it's the foundation of that event is faulty. There are infractions in the foundation. Now, if the court finds that the infractions are not as substantial that it will get the outcome, then they will throw it out. But if by happenstance the court finds out that indeed the infractions are substantial enough to invalidate the outcome, of course the court will do that. But you must also know one thing very clear. What is the mood of the society? Do you want to wake a sleeping dog?
We'll take our first break now. When we come back, you'll explain further what waking a sleeping dog means. So join us again after the break. Welcome back. So, waking a sleeping dog, what do you mean by that?
The good thing about Nigeria and Nigerians, unlike the Arabs, you recall a couple of years ago, close to a decade ago, there was this event called the Arab Spring.
Yes.
The average Arab person would be willing to lay his life down for the better of nation. But the Nigerian behaves like what this reggae artist sang years ago, that everyone wants to make heaven, no one wants to die.
Yes.
The average Nigerian has this attitude that you know those that are called the Creoles, you know the Creoles,
Yes.
the Sierra Leoneans, you know, there's a particular statement that I always allude to. When issues like this happen, the average Saruman will say, "Left for beer." And I got the key that let's bear whatever that comes our way, that it is the Almighty, you know, who owns all the power, that gives power to whom it pleases.
Yes.
So after the election, you hear noise here and there, blah 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 blah, and by the day you see it receding.
It dies down.
You see it receding. That's the Nigerianness in us, which is the Creole, you know, attitude that left for beer. So now, it will continue to be so until May 29 and after. And the court is also not that stupid not to recognize some of these things. So talking about, oh, it's about law, it's about this, it is also about the society. Hence, for me, the dog is sleeping, not just lying. Do we want to wake the dog? Losers should go back to the drawing board. There's a popular Yoruba saying that when a child falls, he looks straight to see where he's heading. He doesn't look at what fell him. When an elderly falls, you will look back to see what actually fell him. And we need to apply that to our ways and means as a people. Rather than rushing to court thinking that it is court. You know what happens in other climes? You go back to the drawing board. You do a review
what
of
you
the
feel.
process and the events.
Mm.
Learn from it and start working towards the next round of battle. But because in this part of the world, we hardly prepare. If we do, we hardly plan. When we plan, we don't plan sufficiently.
We don't have plan A, B, and C.
No, we don't even plan sufficiently. And what do I mean by not planning sufficiently? You must understand very clearly. Government is the biggest business in any country, either at national, subnational, or at municipal level. Government catalyzes all that is that community: commerce, culture, tradition, because this is what speaks to the so-called economy. Therefore, the event that will lead you to wanting to take over government or to taking over government must be seen as big business, where you assemble people who have expertise in the various departments.
The various departments that will help you to win an election.
Yes, that's planning. Those who have understanding of what is campaigneering.
Was it a plan to deprive non-Yorubas from voting in Lagos State?
As a professional, I won't speak to that. I speak to facts.
But that was a fact.
No,
We saw videos of
no,
them
listen.
saying that.
Listen. And the same thing I am talking about, and we need to be careful. You are talking about emotion. It's about emotion. It's not fact.
That someone was prevented from voting is not
The
fact.
same way, let me tell you, the same way someone will also come out to say that in my area, because it is a gated estate,
Yes.
that it's occupied by people of XYZ extractions, we're also not allowed to vote. VGC, it happened. But for me, as a technician as well as a social scientist,
Yes.
I speak to facts. You know what I do each time I have this assignment? I turn the voters register into my catechism that I must look at 2-3 times every day. Because in going through it, it will speak back to me. Look at this name. Angela, by that name, will be what in America we call a yummy. Upward mobile person.
Yes.
So therefore, our voting behavior is likely to be this. By that name, she will be educated at least to the basic level. It means I need to design my communication with her this way. Because this is what our voting behavior will likely be. And because I have not seen Angela,
Yes.
just looking at the paper.
Name, yes.
Yes, so I'll now need to interrogate what our voting behavior would likely be. Then, if this will be the voting behavior of Angela, what will the voting pattern of Priscilla
B.
be? Angela, Priscilla, Julia, Julian, Juliet. It's different from Sikira.
Yes.
It's different from Chinyere.
Yes.
It's different from Amina. It's election strategic planning. You must first identify your votes, not the voter. So when you talk about the statement which you're trying to allude to,
Yes.
you'll be talking about the voter I'm not talking about the vote. I'm talking about the vote. I'm interrogating the register. The register will tell me where that vote is coming from, where that vote will likely go. That's the way to go.
I want to talk to you about the president-elect now, because even you have disagreed with him. You've had cause to disagree
Several
with him
times.
in the past.
Several
You
times.
know, what is it about him, you know, that makes people who have previously vilified him still crawl back to his scam?
Well, in
and
my
work
case,
with
in my
him?
case, maybe I should correct that.
Yes.
I've never vilified him. No.
Disagree.
Yes, and our disagreements are always born out of wanting to do the best thing for our people. It's never been personal. It's about process. It's about principle.
What did you think about all the alleged baggage that he was said to be
He
carrying?
was what? Said to be carrying.
Yes.
So these at best are allegations, not even accusation. If you said they are said to be carried,
Yes.
it means they are allegations, right?
Yes.
Again, I said earlier that I speak to facts. I've been asked this question so severally,
Yes.
and this has always been my answer. I am in my 60s. The man is in his 70s because he's clocked 70. I cannot say so much about him like if he is a 50-something or 40-something. So I can only speak about what I heard. That's not likely for me to know some of the allegations.
About his
To,
origin,
yes,
for
to be in a
instance.
position to say, oh, yes, it is so. No. But I can speak to that fact if he is a 50-something-year-old or 40-something-year-old. However, the man comes from a family that is saying, he is one of us. He is our own. And you are telling me that no, it's not.
Why is there doubt? Even if that family is coming out to say he is one of us, there is still doubt created.
Now, even in law, who would you believe? The man from the street who is saying, no, it's not part of your family. Or members of that family that is saying, he is one of us. Angela, answer. That's one. Two, this man has been torn in and out. And you know what I find amusing? It's like the best always come out in him. Each time is so challenged. Therefore, there's something about the man which we have all refused to interrogate with a view to understanding that man. And for me, I'd rather talk about competence. I'd rather talk about his humanity.
Was he the most competent candidate that could have
There
come
can
out of
never be a most competent. There can never be the best when you are talking about human being. So I didn't say the most competent. I said what I will plead with Nigeria to interrogate about Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is his competence, his humanity.
When you say his humanity,
Yeah.
what do you mean by that?
I'm talking about the human side of him. Is it empathic? I grew up with my grandmother, and she will always tell us, okay, let me share this with you. Every day in my house, 3 times, the Almajiris will come and they will be served, whatever their numbers. Once in a while, my grandmother will allow us sit at the dining table, food set, will encourage us to pray, and then hangs us up and tell us, go and drink gari, don't use a spoon. Fold your palm like this, drink gari like this. So, indeed, there's nothing in your palm,
Yes.
but what you use to drink the gari is the aroma of the food that has been laid on the table. I went to the US, I studied, worked, come back home. You know, at that age, you are now almost at palm. You speak like this. So I now ask her that, Mama Saro, why do you do this? That must be very wicked. She said, yes. He said, the only way that you can give to the needy or the have-not is when you have experienced hunger. He said, if you never experienced hunger, you will not know how it feels and then share with those who need. So today I find it difficult to eat alone. We need a leader that will always look at the pro-poor side of his policy. A leader that will speak about those that are living beneath the poverty line. Like him, hate him, agree with him, disagree with him, I make bold to say that Bola Tinubu has that, and he has it in abundance. And let me shock you again.
Yes.
I told him that we'll continue to fight, we'll continue to disagree. Not for any reason, but about that which we have in common. That will make sure that no child go to sleep hungry, that no child is left out. Having your back is not saying we will not disagree. I will continue to disagree with you, Mr. President-elect. I will. And he knows that. It is because if you like a man, you must be ready to have his back. When you have his back, you can only be good to him when you speak truth to that power.
Join us again after the break. And welcome back. So, what value should we then put on this win of Asiwaju? 8.7 million votes. Now, in the last two elections, 2015, 2012, the person who lost the election lost with 12 million votes. The total vote of Buhari and Atiku in 2019 was 27 million. Now, the total number of votes of the top four in the 2023 elections is 8.7, 6.9, 6.1, and Kwankwaso's 1 point something, comes to about 23 million. And the Financial Times UK, the editorial calls it the weakest in our history.
Who do we blame? The people. If we have 87 million registered voters,
Yes.
and only 23 or say at best 25 million people will come out to vote,
Yes.
who do we blame? Angela, let me tell you something.
Yes.
Here in Lagos, I've seen a man win a councillorship race with 500 votes.
Councillor in the local government.
Yes, in a constituency where there were over 25,000 registered voters. Who do you blame?
Is it feasible to expect 87 million people to
No,
vote
but what
in one
I'm
day?
saying is, look, globally, it is expected that an election that will be adjudged to be overwhelming will record something between 58 and 70%. But in how many countries do we have that? Number one. Number two, when you are looking at that figure,
Yes.
you also need to look at several factors.
Such as?
Number one, the demography. Number two, either the cosmopolitan or metropolitan nature of constituencies. In megapolis like Lagos, the average voters turnout has always not been more than 55, 58%. So if we have 87 in Nigeria,
Yes.
and we want to say, oh, we have overwhelming number of voters, we should be talking about 40, 45, maybe 50. It can't be more than that. It can never be more than that. Now, when you are talking about issues like this, you also want to understand what are other factors or dynamics that also affects or affected outcome of elections. We may not understand it now, but when the history of 2023 elections will be written, it will also be one of the factors that helped the election. The second factor is the almighty beavers, which clearly shows that hitherto we've been telling lies.
Yes. Now votes count.
Yes, a lot of people don't want to hear this, but when you look at people who went to court, the tribunal, you will also see that overwhelmingly they were not attacking beavers. This time around, they're attacking the IREM.
Okay, so I agree with you. Do we then take that to mean that all along ACN, AD never won in Lagos?
All along, parties have always win election. Not just Lagos, but one thing is very clear.
Yes.
That hitherto, and I say this with all air of responsibility, in Lagos, go and interrogate the last 6 election cycles. You will see some things at 3 election cycles: 2003, 2007, 2011, where the party was able to galvanize its traditional voters, where the issue of engagement was at its best, where no all specialists were not involved. When you look at all of this, you will begin to see clearly what the numbers are. In 1960, do you know that John F. Kennedy did not win the election? Rather, it was Richard Nixon. But then, the almighty Chicago machine, led by the great Jim Darling, tweak outcome of that election in the almighty US. What am I trying to say? Therefore, that there will never, ever be a free and fair election anywhere.
In the world.
Anywhere. Credibility is different. They all look similar,
Yes.
but they are quite different. Can we have credible election? Yes. Can we ever have a free and fair election? Nowhere in the world. Not even in the so-called egalitarian societies. So what's then is the difference?
Yes.
The difference is that thin line between meeting the basic standard, which we call substantial compliance. Eh?
Yes.
Okay. And not meeting it. That's the credibility and the credible demand. But that it will forever be free? No. That it will be forever fair? No. And you know why that is so?
Why?
Because a lot of us also do not know the true meaning or definition of democracy. The language specialists who dwell in words,
Yes.
the learned members of the inner sanctuary,
Yes.
have forgot that democracy is a marriage. The demos and the crucius, the haves and have-nots. And that's why in an ideal democratic setting, you will always have 2 chambers of parliament.
Yes.
The House of Lords That's the House of Haves.
The elite.
Then the commoners, the House of Representatives. It's essentially and basically the House of the have-nots. And the true doctrine of democracy, it's about that marriage between the haves and have-nots, where the haves will allow the higher number to have its say, but the lower number to have its way. That's the true definition of democracy. 360 is the number we have in the House of Representatives,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
What do we have in the Senate?
109.
109. But whose voice is heard most of the
Whose
times?
voice is strongest? The
I don't know whether
109.
it's strong.
The 109.
So why is it so? So forever and ever, if we have democracy, we must not deceive ourselves. The haves will allow the have-nots to do all the shouting and rub the ego of the have-nots. But the haves will always have their ways. And this is part of understanding electioneering and campaigneering. How do you design the process and event in such a way that the have-not will take control of the exercise, but yet their voice will be weak?
Let's talk about the candidate of the Labour Party. Your thoughts on Peter Obi. You have previously said that his time had not yet come. But I'm saying 6.1 million voters for a rookie. It's not that shabby, is it?
He is formidable. Unfortunately, he has so much to learn. It is not about his outlook. It is not about his determination with what to do with government. It is about his understanding how to plan and how to approach the business of campaigneering and election.
So when you say transitional,
Yeah.
dig deeper into that for me.
You see, it's like a child growing up. You must first crawl before you walk. You must learn how to pick your steps before you begin to run. I want to also seize this medium to address the Gen Zs and the millennia that don't give up. You've started well. But run away from those things that can divide us. You must embrace those things that will unite us. Run away from politics of indigenship. You are Nigerians. You have exhibited it in 2019 during the EndSARS period. You have exhibited it very clearly. Build up on it. You have organizational skill. You must learn how to deploy it.
I want your comment on the alleged diplomatic passport of the president-elect. Where do you stand on that? Is it an issue within the party? Is the party even talking about the Guinean passport?
Because it's a non-issue. There's what is called the ECOWAS passport, which takes you to, I don't know the number of countries.
Yes.
And it is the same passport that is issued along the West Coast. I have one, and each time I go to my mama place in Freetown, or I go to my spiritual home in Senegal,
Yes.
that's the passport I use, ECOWAS passport. And it's the same thing. So why the hues and cry? I don't want to comment on it. If it is about ECOWAS,
Yes.
I don't want to comment on it. And you know why? If you are going to Benin Republic from Badagry, you will need a passport, right?
Yes.
If you carry the Nigerian green passport, and I go with my ECOWAS passport that I used to travel in the ECOWAS sub-region, 9 of 10 times, I'll be attended to before you. It carries weight.
So it's an essential document.
Yes, now, in furtherance to that, I crack jokes with my Ogu brothers from Badagry that the Aolu Menutoye, Oba Akran
Yes.
of Badagry,
Yes.
his letterhead paper will give you diplomatic immunity from either Owode Bodan or Seme Bodan up to Aflao in Togo. And you know why? The Ogun people comes from Wida. Wida is a small town between Benin Republic, end of Cotonou,
Yes.
and Lomé in Togo. So the average Oguman is a Nigerian, is a Beninese, and is also a Togolese. Now there is a Mano River Agreement between Liberia, Freetown, Sierra Leone, and Guinea Republic. Now, the ECOWAS passports gives citizens of those 3 countries, apart from being ECOWAS, citizens, an added advantage. So what are we talking about? Now, for me, because I was born before Nigerian independence,
Yes.
maybe you don't know, Angela, I am also a British citizen. You may want to interrogate that. Those that were born up till 30th of September 1960, before the 1st of October 1960, are bona fide British citizens. Are you aware? So what's the use and cry?
Let's talk about projected appointments before you go. Chief of Staff, Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Who would you like to see? And what about you? Is it time for you to get paid? After all, you've been instrumental
Pay how in Naira?
in the emergence of the governor in Lagos State since 2003.
I've been able to express myself through what I know. I thank God that I've been able to lead team of volunteers who have contributed their quota, and together we've made differences. It is not about me. It's a teamwork. It's a collective.
So who would you like to see as Chief of Staff?
Nobody except that person that is chosen by the chief executive. And I'll tell you why. It is unfortunate where we have found ourselves. Where on the social media or at beer parlors, we've started to want to decide who should do what. It is unfortunate. It is rather unfortunate. I am praying, and I want to beseech Nigerians also to pray to God for this President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to be discernible enough in choosing people who will man the most strategic offices of his administration.
And what are these strategic offices?
Secretary to the Government of the Federation,
SGF?
Chief of Staff to the President. You see, they are different though.
Yes.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Chief of Staff to the President, and the principal private secretary
To the President.
Yes, as well as the man who will be the communication manager, which you call media.
Special advisor on media.
I don't
You don't
want
know what
the
title will be.
nomenclature,
Yes.
but these are very key offices that will determine the success of the administration, one. Two, that will also signpost the direction the administration will go. So, why will I now begin to say, oh, it should be this person, or it is... No!
Would you consider taking up an appointment if the president-elect...
I have one already now, Angela, and I don't need anyone to give me another one. I just told you, the junior brother to the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the senior brother to the governor of Lagos State. What more appointment?
Your business card.
I will show you when I print it. And let me quickly tell you, by the 2nd or 3rd of June, I will send my business, or what we call card in the UK. I will send it to you for you to see. This one will speak to office of the brother to the president. The other one will speak to office of the brother to the governor. For us, our preoccupation should be what we know how to do, keeping an ear to the ground, and then, interfacing with our government, on what and what and what and what. And I think it's more than enough for me to do.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oki, for spending an hour with me, your busy schedule.
Thank you very much, Angela, for having me. It's been pleasurable.
Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure.
And thank you for watching. I'm Angela Ajetomobi.
Ìmọ́tótó ló lè ṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo. Ìmọ́tótó ló lè ṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo.
Cholera is defined as an infectious disease that is caused by ingestion of food and water contaminated with the bacterium Vibrio cholerae. It usually occurs as diarrhea, dehydration, and may lead to death if left untreated. Cholera was first discovered in 1854 by an Italian physician, Philip Pacini, during an outbreak in Florence, Italy. Also, record shows that cholera was detected by Robert Koch, a physician and microbiologist in India in 1883. In Nigeria, since its first appearance in 1972, intermittent outbreaks have been occurring. The later part of 2010 was marked with a widespread in the northern part of Nigeria, spreading to the other parts, and involving approximately 3,000 cases and 781 deaths. Unlike many other infectious diseases, cholera persists as a huge public health problem worldwide, even where there are accessible and effective methods for its prevention and treatment. The main reasons for its persistence are socioeconomic, since cholera thrives in unhygienic conditions and environments with a reputation of already fragile sanitation, especially in overcrowded areas. The major symptoms of cholera are diarrhea, nausea and vomiting, dehydration, muscle cramps, and shock. To prevent being infected with cholera, you should provide safe water, basic sanitation, and maintain adequate hygiene practices. If infected, the first aid treatment to assist the sufferer, if medical professionals are not readily available, is to get oral rehydration solution to replace lost fluids and electrolytes. Without rehydration, approximately half of the people infected with cholera will die. Severe cases need rapid treatment with intravenous fluids and antibiotics, which are to be recommended and administered by medical experts. There is currently an increase of cholera outbreak in Nigeria, and the Lagos State government declared a cholera outbreak on the 9th of June 2024. 3 suspected cases of cholera have been reported respectively in neighbouring Oyo and Ogun states. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, reported that as of 11th of June 2024, 1,141 suspected cholera cases had been recorded across 30 states in Nigeria, including Bayelsa, Lagos, Abia, Cross River, Delta, and Imo, with some situated further north, Katsina, Nasarawa, and Zamfara states. United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, says Nigeria must prevent spread in schools. With the intervention of all relevant bodies, individuals also have a relevant role to play. Prevention is better and cheaper than cure. Here are a few prevention tips. Drink and use safe water. Flush or bury poop. Wash and peel raw fruits with clean hands. Also, cook food thoroughly. Thoroughly clean toilets and surfaces contaminated with poop. Remember, health is wealth. Stay safe.
Ìmọ́tótó ló lè ṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo. Ìmọ́tótó ló lè ṣẹ́gun.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
On the Justice Court, the plaintiff is back in court over the paternity dispute of the child from his marriage.
All rise. Court in section. Honorable Judge Funmi Asaolu presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, this case is between Omonwe Moses and Stephen Moses.
Thank you, Eku.
Welcome.
I am here because of my child. I am AA. She is AS. And when he was 2 years, he was diagnosed to be SS.
DNA analysis is negative. Stephen Opeyemi Moses is not the biological father of Terry. Oluwafowokanmi Moses. Do you know the father of the child? Do you know the father of the child?
Nobody touched me. Nobody.
You are very sure?
The DNA paternity test confirms that the plaintiff is not the biological father of the child, but the defendant insisted that she did not sleep with any other man. Judge Fumi orders the DNA of mother and child to rule out the possibility of child swap at birth.
I remember your matter. I requested that the maternity test should be conducted.
Yes, ma'am.
So what happened?
She has refused.
Are we having a result?
No, she has refused to do it.
She refused
Yes.
to cooperate.
Yes.
What's her reason? She didn't give you any reason.
I had my friend call her. They had a discussion, and her reason was they should give her time to go and do the test. I mean, to go and give sample. That's the last I heard from her.
When was the last time you appeared in court?
That's December.
December till now. And she has not.
Yes, ma'am.
If she had turned up, I'm sure there will be. The legal team would have minuted on your file.
Yes.
The last thing I still have here is the recommendation for the maternity test, which shall be read on the next hearing of the matter.
Yes.
And today is the next hearing.
Yes.
So if she's not cooperating, what does that mean to you?
I don't.
Because your background, the background of her story is like you're a couple that have a child together.
Yes.
And you came to court alleging that your genotype is AA and her genotype is AS.
Yes.
And you have a son
That is
with a
SS.
genotype of SS.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were challenging paternity of the only child of the marriage.
Yes.
And Justice Court conducted a test that revealed the child is yours. And she's not cooperating.
Yes, ma'am.
To have a maternity test as recommended. Where is she right now? Are you living together?
No.
Definitely.
When
did you stop living together?
April last year.
April last year.
Yes, ma'am.
And she has not tried to reach you?
No.
Pertaining to the welfare of the child or anything?
No. Since after the DNA. That's when she stopped. As at one time, they even went to the police station that I wanted to be detained because of the matter. That's before the DNA.
Before you appeared there?
Yes. Let me just give you a brief story. She had a child. She was a single mother.
When you met her?
Yes. The child is 6 years when I met her. I took this boy as my son. This boy is in SS1. I was the one that trained him to that SS1. So when she had this child, it wasn't because of pregnancy that we got married. No, she had the child inside the marriage. That's 2 years into the marriage. That's when she had this SS child. So as at 2 years, we discovered the child was SS. She was blaming my mother. She was blaming everybody around me that they were the one that changed the blood of the child. I said, that's not possible. Every knowledgeable person, every educated person will know that that's impossible. But for some reason, for the trust, I let it span. This is 8 years of the marriage.
But how come you didn't state this in her presence that day? When she was stating that
that day I wanted her to do what I wanted that day was what you did, ma. Maternity test.
Okay.
That's what I was very diplomatic that day. I didn't want to fault her, but now it seems to me that it was a deliberate action. She did that on purpose that's 6 years of my life. I was training SS child. There was nothing I was doing.
You see, there's nothing wrong in treating an SS child.
Yes.
If it's yours.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong in treating an SS child when you know even that child is not yours, but you are doing it out of a service to humanity.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So being an SS child is not a crime, but nobody wants to be an SS. It just turns that out from the parents or the parents' carelessness.
Yes.
Because there are things that can be evaded now. But by the time you say an AA and AS is coming out with SS, then I have to go back and consult a professor or a doctor to tell me about the outcome of their new research that can bring out that. And that's why it was referred for us to have a paternity test and have a DNA result on it.
Yes, ma'am.
But when I remembered, because that day she kept on insisting that she has never met any other man apart from you.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was why I thought of it that for the benefit of doubt, you are married.
Yes.
Let's take that doubt off the way.
Yes.
And I referred the matter for the maternity test, the same way we had the paternity. I'm sure if she had cooperated, we'd just be reading out the maternity test there. So I don't know why. Have you tried to reach out to her after you left this course?
No.
Why?
I didn't want to interfere. That was why I told my friend to reach out.
Did you call the legal team to find out whether
I went to Ministry of Justice in Ikeja.
No, I'm talking about the legal team of Justice Courts.
Yes, I called several.
And they kept telling you she had not come.
Yes, that they have been calling her. She's not.
The defendant, Omowumi Moses, has not complied with the directive to conduct a maternity test. The plaintiff believes that his wife intentionally committed a paternity fraud. He said he will be suing for a divorce. After the break, Judge Fumi wraps this matter.
So, what kind of marriage did you conduct? Are you looking at reconciliation?
No.
Not at all.
I want to divorce.
None of our family members have gotten in touch with you. Nobody. Do you have any other thing to say?
No.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I will.
All right.
Guys.
And
Look,
all of them,
all
of them in Lagos,
Let me
all
tell
of
you,
them in Nigeria.
listen to me.
Nobody.
When I'm talking, you keep quiet.
An arrogant customer who is not ashamed.
Pastor Donald, why are you not picking my calls? Why haven't you paid the balance up till now?
Telling the honorable court that I have not been calling him, I've not been picking his call. It's a fabricated fallacy. He did this just to debase me.
You are owing, and you are the one that is being arrogant at the same time.
A Nollywood veteran hoped to diversify into marine transportation.
Passenger boat I did not see. My money I did not see. I wanted to report him to Amadioha.
He was testing the boats. One thing, the boat sink with engine.
The husband does not like the responsibilities, but he likes all the pleasures a woman has to offer.
I still dey live with am now. First we live person one pikin.
How you go control?
The dispute is real, and the judgment is binding. This is the Justice Court.
Today on the Justice Court, the plaintiff, Ekene, is suing his former landlord for the refund of rent for the period he was not a resident in the house.
All rise. Court in session. Honorable Judge Fumi Asaolu presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, this case is between Ekene and Afolabi Tayo.
Thank you, Akin.
Welcome.
Ekene, can you tell me why you are here?
Good afternoon, ma'am. As of 2017, I rented an apartment, a single room apartment in his compound. As at that period, he wasn't there. It was managed by his twin sisters. From 2017 to 2020, we spoke on phone through the sister because they said they wanted to have renovation to the compound. So I said, okay, there's no problem. So as at that time, I actually got to know him. We've been talking on phone. So he disclosed the plan as well to me. He now said, I'm going to receive a letter of quit notice together with the next neighbors. But if I'm willing to pay for a room and parlor, 2 single rooms, call it a room and parlor, that I should stay back. But I will also get the letter so that I don't disclose to other neighbors that I actually did not get the letter when distributed. So I noted. So along the line, my rent was about to due for that single room. So I put a call through to the sister whom I rapport with on phone. I said, my rent is about to due. Please, I want to make payment. He asked me to hold on, not to pay. That he needs to get back to the brother. So her response to me back on WhatsApp, she said, the brother asked me not to pay. I insisted. I said, no, I need to pay. That I don't want to have any inconveniences on rent. She said, okay, that she hold on. She still needs to get back to the brother. So her response back to me again, that's the sister. Her response back to me again was that, okay, since I insisted that if I want to make payments, that I can only pay for 6 months. I said, ma, you know I'm a yearly tenant payment. She said the reason why she asked me to pay for the 6 months was that before December, which the 6 months is going to expire, that they could have finished the plans, that's the renovations to the house. I said, okay. So I proceeded with the payments. I paid the sum of 30,000 naira to the sister's account. We started living. So from that period, I paid in June to December. The 6 months expired in December. Nothing at all. No renovation. And the agreement for the new room and parlor, I have also credited the sum of 250,000 ahead of the room and parlor. That's when the agreement was reached. He actually splitted it. He said 775. I agreed. Agent and agreement, this, I agreed. So total sum was 250,000. I paid. From that December, when my money got expired, I didn't say anything. I was just looking. Let me know what the plan is going to be because no renovation yet and everything just goes standstill. Okay. Suddenly, from that 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, till 2021. That 2021 now, they actually started renovation on some other parts of the building, some other parts of just like the backyard. So they started renovation, not to my own side as well, but I didn't say anything because there are a lot of occupants hindering them from proceeding with the renovations. So the issue now is I moved out this year, 2022, February 10th. Till the time I moved, the renovations were still going on. And I called him, I said, I need to move. We agreed. I told him I need my funds refund back to me. He said, okay, no problem. That I'm going to have my fund by first week of March. I moved in February 10th. He said, first week of March, I'm going to have my fund refunded back to you. I said, okay, no problem. First week of March, I did not get my money. Before then, I told him, he explained that I'm not going to get the agent and agreement. I said, why? He said, yes, they don't refund agent and agreement. I didn't argue. I just walked up to the sister, I said, this is your brother's response to me about my money. Please speak to him. I just don't want to talk to him, not to sound rude to him. She said, okay, she'll get back to me. So I left. Not until I left the compound, no communication from the sister pertaining to what I told her about. I left, I moved my things away. Based on the cordial relationship we had, the discussion were all moving fine. He promised to refund my money first week of March. I didn't get my money. So the house was also taken out that February ending. I left February 10th. The house was taken February ending. So
Other tenants
yes,
moved in.
yes, other tenant moved in. So to date, he has only paid me 35,000.
How much is outstanding?
215, right?
That's your case.
Yes, ma'am.
So what do you have to say to that?
Okay, my lord. Okay, 2020. It's been in our compound before then. My sister is the one actually in charge of that room. So when we were to begin renovation, I advised the lawyer to serve everyone notice. But of course, he's one person in the house who is more concerned about the well-being of every tenant. So I saw that, okay, this is one opportunity that I could also give to him. And I said to him that, okay, I don't know if you still want the room and parlor. He already discussed with me. And I said, okay, if you want the room and parlor, it's not a problem. But what we'll do is we'll serve everyone notice. I mean, that's the protocol. We'll serve everyone notice. Then, of course, since you've shown interest, we'll give you the condition. So he's in a room apartment, and we did some conversions in the house. So we changed the room to room and parlor, and the one at the back to room self-contained. There are plenty of course, renovations. So in 2021, when he's, of course, is to make payments, I gave him the conditions that, okay, fine. Now the room and parlor for a year will go for 180,000. The agreement is 50,000. The commission is 50,000. Then there is caution fee of 20,000. Everything summed up to 300,000. But I discussed with my younger sisters, and I said, he's been a good tenant. There is something we can do for him. Let us waive the 50,000 and ask him to pay 250,000. So in March 2021, he transferred 230,000. At that period, we've not started the renovation. But from May that same year, we started renovation with the sliding windows for all the rooms. Then, of course, we move into some other parts, the conversions from room to room self-contained and the likes. So in 2022, this year, he didn't mention, of course, that he was going to leave. So when he said he was leaving, and I said, okay, now we're done with renovation. Now you're leaving. Hope all is well. So he made mention that, okay, fine, he already got another apartment that is closer to where they transferred him to. And I said, oh, okay, that's fine. If he leaves the room closed, of course, the rent will still be running up until when the period lapses. He moved out February 10th. We got a new tenant who moved in March. Yes. March ending, because of course, they will still do small renovation and all of that. So, and I said to him that, okay, let's do the calculation. From 2021 that you stayed in the room to March, what we collected from you is a rent for a room and parlor. And you never stayed in the room and parlor. What we can do is to take what you've used from that January to March, which is 5,000 naira.
The old rate.
Yes.
The old rate.
The old rate. We'll take, I mean, you stayed in that room between January 2021 up until March that we got in a new tenant. We'll take the 5,000 naira.
Till the time he vacated the premises.
Okay, so the time he vacated, that's 5,000 naira.
He can't pay for a period he didn't spend in the house.
Yes. So we calculated that and we took it out from the 100.
So till February, how much is that?
Till February, that's about 15 or 75,000.
Is that right?
It's 60,000 per year. And the room is talking about.
It's the same thing. He said 5,000 per month.
Okay, yes.
It's the same thing.
Yes. The next room, somebody is still there, even until I move out.
He's talking about your own. We are not talking about next door. What they are removing is they are not increasing your rent from your calculation now. It's still based on the 5,000 naira you were paying per month. Do you understand?
Yes.
So that's what they are using to calculate the deduction from the money you have paid. Do you understand me? Okay. And if that is to be so, how much will be your balance?
75,000.
So it's correct. Okay, go ahead.
So, and when he was leaving, I told him, fine, we still have 1 or 2 renovations we're doing in the house. Whatever is due to you is 105,000 that is due. I'll split it. And of course, I'll pay it into your account. So I think...
Okay, you mean you pay by installments?
By installments.
Okay.
I got a call from an army somewhere around Air Force Base. And he said, I'm owing, blah, blah, blah. He came to complain. And I said, okay, this is what we'll do. The 105,000 I don't have now. But what I can do is to split it into 3. I'll pay 35 in June. In September, I'll
pay... Have you done that?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
And I said by September ending, I'll do another 30.
How much? 35 again?
Then by December, then I'll pay the balance 30,000. So that way we have...
I have only received 35,000, which he paid.
The second one, from what he said, you can only receive 1 in June. The next one should come in at the end of this month. This September. That's what I have here.
The plaintiff, Ekene, vacated his rented apartment before the end of period he had paid for because he needed to relocate to another apartment close to his new place of work. He is in court to demand rent refund. He claims to be unaware of the fact that the defendant, Afolabi, already planned to refund the rent for the period he was not residing in the apartment.
I'm not just hearing this for the first time. What I have, so it's only the 2 of you that know the agreement. What agreement you had at the point you got somebody to intervene. So what agreement did you have then?
There was no agreement.
Because this is... Okay, please, can you show this to me? This Afolabi.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, let me even read it out to you. He said he agreed that he will pay the balance due to you in 3 installments. You've heard about that before?
You're just saying it now.
So how come he paid the first one in June, you received that? But you are not aware that you are supposed to be paid in September?
I'm not.
Okay. And December?
No.
Said he's hearing that for the first time. But that's your proposal right now?
Not now. The proposal had been to the...
So that's the way you started paying?
Yes.
So you are just to pay September and December?
Yes.
Is that okay by you? All right.
Judge Fumi helps both parties to reach amicable settlement. She rules after the break.
Now, you've paid 35,000 naira in June. And right now what you have left is 70,000 naira. So you pay another 35,000 naira by the end of September. Then by end of December 2022, you pay the balance of 35,000 naira. Judgment for the plaintiff.
All rise.
Have you been cheated or have a dispute and want justice? Don't take laws into your hands. Log on to www.thejusticecourt.com and submit your case.
The pandemic opened the world to a new dispensation regarding work. How people work and the career paths they take differ from generation to generation. There are 5 generations present in the modern workplace, each with unique expectations and perspectives. A person's career path is described as the work they do and the roles they hold as they climb up the ladder. Before the millennium, career paths for many was simply linear, which could be a person working at the same organization and growing there till they retired, or a person working in the same role but changing jobs a couple of times. Security and staying power were the cornerstone of this career path. However, with modern technology, a person's career path can be as multifaceted and versatile as the individual wishes. Millennials now work multiple roles in their career trajectories, pursue numerous passions that are sometimes interwoven, and work at different roles in their journeys. Baby boomers and Generation X only considered a job good if it gave them the security to work there till they retire. But for millennials and Gen Z, the workplace has changed and so has the career structure. Millennials often change their career paths or juggle multiple interests simultaneously. Being able to move from one job to another might signal a person's employability and adaptability. Baby boomers tend to believe that working long hours is what defines success and value face-to-face interactions with co-workers. In contrast, millennials believe that innovation and flexibility are key ingredients for success at work. The shift in occupational structures, for example, the increasing gig economy, is leading to polarization in employment, wages, and inequalities. From remote work policies to virtual leadership, the pandemic changed how we work. The opportunity to telework increased for some, such as knowledge workers, but not for frontline workers. Among the benefits are an improved work-life balance for some, as well as changed attitudes to well-being. Teleworking can lead to a higher productivity and lower operating costs for companies. Work is increasingly flexible and decentralized. Working from home or out of a workspace is favored by many because of the flexibility that comes with it. Millennials and Gen Zs prefer flexible work schedules and part-time hours so that they can balance their work and life compared to older generations who prefer security.
Some people are social people. You know, when they go to the office, they have friends everywhere. Good morning. How was the football match? You know, you just with your colleagues and stuff like that. That social element at work, a lot of people need it. Me personally, I'm an extrovert, but I'm also high on the introverted side. I like going to parties, I like making friends, but I also like keeping to myself. So at work, I'm not the friendliest. I would smile, I would say hi, but I don't need to. So it depends on your personality and what you need. For me, work from home works a lot for me because I get to spend time with my family. I'm always in the house with my partner, and that really makes me happy.
Hello and welcome. I am Justin Akadonia and this is the news update on Plus TV Africa. The Economic Community of West African State, ECOWAS, has allocated at least $13 million to bolster counter-terrorism efforts in frontline state and shore up humanitarian aid in the region. The regional bloc also revealed it is exploring additional funding options for its $2.6 billion standby force. This information was shared by Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, who serves as the chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, as part of a one-year report highlighting the bloc's achievements and challenges at the 6th Media Coordination Meeting of the African Union in Accra, Ghana. Now, Tinubu's statement, as relayed by his special advisor on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, further noted that ECOWAS has allocated $9 million to assist refugees, internally displaced persons, and asylum seekers. Additionally, the frontline member state in the fight against terrorism have received $4 million in support under the ECOWAS counter-terrorism humanitarian response. Now, the ECOWAS chairman also announced that the regional bloc will soon convene a special extraordinary session to discuss its future, including ongoing talks with estranged member states such as Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Meantime, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has distanced himself from a circulating WhatsApp message that discourages nationwide protests planned for early August. Earlier report had highlighted a screenshot of an alleged WhatsApp message from the IGP which discouraged protests in Lagos State. However, in a statement issued on Sunday night by the force public relations officer, ACP Olumuyiwa Adejobi, the IGP clarified that the purported message did not originate from the police. The statement asserted that the message, which posed various questions and opinions about the protest, did not represent the views of the Nigeria Police Force. The IGP sternly warned that the spread of misinformation, disinformation, and fake news or mischievous recycled contents are criminal acts punishable under the cybercrime law. The Federal High Court in Abuja has dismissed a lawsuit filed by the family of the late head of state, General Sani Abacha, against the federal government. The family had challenged the revocation of the former military ruler's property located in the Tama district of Abuja. In his judgment, Justice Peter Lifo cited several grounds for dismissing the suit, which was filed 9 years time of in 2015, and the plaintiffs lacking the legal standing to bring the case. The lawsuit was filed by General Abacha's The defendants named in the suit were the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, the Federal Capital Development Authority, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and Salamet Ventures Limited. Now, this marks the fourth time the Abacha family has lost legal battles over the disputed property in court.
For many of us, it is hard to resist the temptation, especially when it comes to enjoying a juicy beef dish. But have you ever stopped to think about the impact of your food choices on the greater good? Our food choices have a great impact on others. The beef industry is one of the leading contributors to deforestation. As trees are cleared to make way for cattle ranching, it not only disrupts the delicate balance of ecosystems, but also contributes to climate change. We can make a difference with our choices. It does not mean we all have to become vegans overnight. Imagine enjoying fish and poultry a few times a week, indulging in beef just once a month, and filling our plates with plenty of plant-based goodness. Every little bit counts, and even small reductions in our intake can make a huge impact on the climate. By making smarter food choices, we're not only taking care of ourselves, but also the planet we call home. Remember, the choices we make today lead to a better tomorrow.
I will take you through this amazingness today.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Welcome back. You're still watching the news update on Plus TV Africa. The Federal High Court in Abuja has declined to bar Governor Siminalayi Fubara from spending government funds, while a lawsuit filed by the Rivers State House of Assembly, led by Martin Amewale, is pending. In a ruling on the ex parte motion, Justice Emeka Nwite refused to grant the plaintiff's request, though he ordered them to put the defendants on notice. However, the judge did grant the motion to allow the plaintiffs to serve the 5th to 10th defendant, including the governor, the accountant general of Rivers State, and the State Independent Electoral Commission by substituted means. The court adjourned the matter to August 7th to hear the substantive motion. The plaintiffs in the suit are the Rivers State House of Assembly and Martin Amewale, represented by Joseph Daudu, SAN. The defendants include the Central Bank of Nigeria, Zenith Bank, Access Bank, and the Accountant General of the Federation. This ruling comes after Governor Fubara recently vowed to remain upright and not to govern the state on bended knees despite political pressures. Now, reactions have continued to trail the Supreme Court verdict, which granted fiscal autonomy to the 774 local government areas, with various stakeholders canvassing measures to ensure effective implementation of the ruling. There are also fears in some quarters that local government chairmen may be unable to manage the freedom, just as others raise concerns that the governors may remain in control through the back door. However, the president of the Association of Local Government of Nigeria, ALGAN, Ma'azu Meifata, said the judgment would usher in general turnaround in the development of the rural areas. Meifata, who expressed happiness with the Supreme Court ruling, sought the upward review of the monthly allocation to the 774 local government councils in the country. He said the judgment had secured the future of local government, stressing that Nigerians and some state governors have accepted the verdict. Now, eminent Ibadan indigents, including high-ranking traditional title holders, have been mounting pressure on the Otun Olubadan of Ibadan land, High Chief Rashidi Ladoja, to accept beaded crown as a monarch instead of being recognized as High Chief in order to de-escalate tension surrounding the subject. Now, the immediate past Olubadan of Ibadan land, the late Oba Lekon Balogun, presented crown to some members of the Olubadan Advisory Council, which Ladoja declined. Now, Ladoja had submitted that the only crown acceptable to him is that of the Olubadan of Ibadan land. He later instituted a legal action which was later withdrawn to facilitate the installation of the Oba Owolabi Olakunleyin as the 43rd Olubadan of Ibadan land. However, the issue has not been laid to rest, especially with the new Gazette on Ascension to the throne of Olubadan that only recognizes the crowned Obas as bona fide successors to the throne. Now, Enugu State Governor Peter Mba has condemned Simon Ekpa, the Finland-based leader of the Autopilot Group, as a businessman exploiting the emotions and suffering of the Igbo people. Mba urged the people of the southeast region to disregard Ekpa's threats and seat at home orders. Mba also expressed displeasure over the Finnish government's continued harboring of Ekpa, even as many lives and properties have been lost due to the alleged actions of his supporters.
Our people are known for hard work. That's it. That's who we are. That is in our DNA. That's our civic habits. We enjoy working hard. And this man sits somewhere and says he loves the Igbo and dictate to us not to go to work. Okay, so I want to also take this opportunity to call on our people to disregard this threat, disregard him and his threat, right? We have demonstrated our capacity to provide security for our people, and we will continue to do so.
We are the true representative of people, and we are working day and night, and there is nothing as a palliative that can solve the problem. That's why we are here, to assess the level of security, interact with His Excellency. If all governors across the nation and leaders will emulate his plans, what he is trying to do, and what he have done so far in Enugu within 360 days, people will go back to farm, and going back to farm will entail peace, security, and stability. Without peace, there is no famine. Without famine, hunger is imminent. So therefore, I think the Renewed Hope agenda and the entire program, particularly what is happening in Enugu, is something that we will all say is Uhuru, and then we are calling on other governors to emulate him.
And now to other parts of the continent. The African Union has convened in Ghana to address issues related to African integration and to establish a unified stance before engaging with the G20 and the United Nations. With ongoing regional instability in West Africa, ECOWAS nations Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso risk losing their memberships due to military coups that ousted democratically elected leaders in these countries. Now, these nations have been under threat from terrorist organizations affiliated with Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State for years. Mauritania's president and current African Union chair, Mohamed Cheikh Ghazouani, urged for the acceleration of the African integration process. He stressed the importance of expediting economic integration to support the continent and fulfill the aspirations of African citizens. Well, moving outside the continent now, the Republican Party in the United States is preparing a new presidential campaign strategy following President Joe Biden's announcement that he will not be running for re-election in 2024. Biden dropped out of the race on Sunday, ending his bid after a debate with Donald Trump that raised doubts about the incumbent's fitness. The unexpected announcement made less than 4 months before the election has upended a campaign that both parties view as pivotal. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson called for Biden's immediate resignation, stating that November 5 cannot arrive soon enough. With Biden out, Trump and the GOP must now shift their focus to a new opponent after years of training their attention on the incumbent. In business news now. Aliko Dangote, the president of the Dangote Group, has revealed that a friend who previously cautioned him against investing in Nigeria is now mocking him for disregarding that advice. Dangote shared this during an interview on Sunday, just as report quoted the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, claiming that diesel from the Dangote refinery is of inferior quality. Dangote stated that he invested in the refinery to help address a major issue in the country, expressing bewilderment at why some individuals are working against him. The $19 billion, 650,000 barrel per day refinery, which became operational last year after a decade of protracted construction, is more than double the initial estimate. It promises to help wean Africa's largest oil producer off its dependence on imported fuel and save up to 30% of the total foreign exchange spent on importing goods. And that's the news update. I am Justin Akadonye. Many thanks for watching.
dramatic shawarma, yeah.
Lagos Island has imposing architectural structures dotted on each side of the road, filled with people who are not sure if they will be locked out from their homes next year due to rental fee hikes. The buildings on the other side of the road wear an empty, forlorn look. Beggars are always on the streets. A thin, middle-aged man in an oversized jacket comes towards my window. In impeccable English, he explains that he is not a beggar, but a medical doctor who worked in the hospital about 3 blocks from the right side of the street we were on. He has an accent that must be from Cross River State, unmistakably lyrical. He says his daughter is in terrible shape. She has a ruptured appendix and was admitted in the same hospital where he worked. I'm trying to raise money for my daughter, but we haven't been paid for about 6 months now. It was difficult to tell truth from falsehood in Lagos. Poverty taught most people the art of deceit as a means of livelihood. Today, I discover an even more ingenious way of begging, meant to jolt one's physical and spiritual sensibilities. At the junction just before the traffic lights, a man who looks like he was a few seconds away from being called to be with the Lord is being pushed around in a wheelchair by a dreary-looking assistant. After a few minutes, the assistant stops pushing the wheelchair and takes up his bullhorn to tell the story of how the man has an orange-sized tumor on his face. He makes a feverish pitch for funds that will be for treatment. God bless you as you give. God shall water your garden as you donate to this cause, he bellowed. Motorists avoid them as if they just escaped a leper colony. The 2 men are indifferent and remain resolute in their quest. My name is Eriye Onogoroa. I work in an energy company, so apart from being an author, that's what else I do. So to be honest, so I used to work in another company, and you get to that stage in your career where you feel like your life is stuck in a rut. Like you wake up every morning and you're like, okay, we have to do this again. Nothing is challenging. It's just you just know you're built for more. So that's the stage I was in. I'll go to work just completely dissatisfied. And, we had friends, how it is in the office. We'll talk about, all the things happening and not happening to us. And then it was just every day we were complaining. And then one day I said to myself, I said, Eri, but you're right, yeah? Because I started writing from when I was like 8 years. And I said, instead of complaining, look inwards and do something. And literally, that's how Dear Alare was born. So it was at a point in my life where I was just completely yearning for more and dissatisfied with where I was in my career. I like that question because when I was writing, for me, it was almost like a sense of urgency to pass a message, and the message was principally to live your life, your best life, in spite of anything that may be happening around you. You would have challenges, but own your voice, tell your story, and just be authentic. So for me, it was very important to pass that message across and let anybody reading to say, you know what, I mean, these challenges are not uncommon. Everybody faces them. But you can still live your moment. You can still live your best life as you pass through these challenges. For me, when I wrote that in particular, I was looking to talk about life in Lagos. And I use Lagos as a metaphor for Nigeria because, Lagos is where everything happens. So for me, it was important to bring out all the kind of things that we see in society that should not be, poverty that really shouldn't be because of the abundance of resources, and the fact that you see a lot of people who don't have as much just more or less just tending towards, okay, we need to have more babies, almost like a pastime. Like, okay, since I can't have this, I can't have this. So that was the thinking behind, you know, this. In terms of themes, I thought to look at the patriarchal culture in Nigeria. I thought to put an X-ray on life in Lagos and the fact that really and truly, at the end of the day, we sort of exist in Lagos. We don't live, we don't thrive. You wake up every day, you spend roughly, depending on where you are, roughly 4 to 5 hours in traffic. And you get back home and you sleep, and it's like an endless rot. Yeah, so those are the kind of things I was trying to look at, the challenges women face in the office. Not just in the office, what they're going through internally. For Alari, Alari didn't have a child, so she was facing all that, and yet she needed to be in the office to be her best. So things like that, those were the kind of things I was looking to talk about: the patriarchal culture, infertility challenges, just the whole chaos, what it really takes to live in a place like Lagos. Because it was important for me to tell the story that the fact that a lady gives birth to a girl has nothing to do with her, and the fact that it's a girl does not lessen the significance of the child. So that's very important for me to say there. We find it, like you said, in Nigeria, and it hasn't changed. Well, maybe, you know, our voices, you know, a story like that, I had to use Pidgin to reflect the characters. So someone like Alhaji Wasiu, typical characters that, you know, would necessarily speak Pidgin English. It was important for me to reflect that in the story so that the reader understands that, you know, just the different strata in society and the levels of people that we have. I would say, tell your story. People asked me, and I said, but you can't live life just expecting to be validated or not validated. Yeah, so for me, it was important to pass a message. For me, it was important to tell my story. The validation, secondary, because I will do it the same way, you know, whether or not whatever anybody thought or thinks about Dear Alari, I will tell my story, because it's important at the end of the day, when you go to bed, be satisfied that you have done what truly makes you happy as a writer. And some people just have a lot of stories in there just waiting to, you know, to come out. But it's that fear of acceptance. And really and truly, you can't live life waiting to be accepted by everybody. It's just not the way to do things. I would say that is changing, to be honest. I mean, a lot of reading clubs springing up rather. A lot of, no, I would say it's changing. I know that, you know, just even surviving in Nigeria is an art. So you find quite a number of people probably not having the time to read, but I don't think it's fair to say that we don't read. I think things are really, really changing.
Switch to on, light on. Pressing command for internal. Expectedly back, DW. Roll same pressure. Easy on 55. See your nav state with back and it's perfect.
in services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Red carpet with South Africa's Age 12 making it his third stage victory in this year's race. John Collins visited Ghana as a child with his father, but life brought him back years later, and the musician never left. VOA's Isaac Kaledzi met him in Accra, and Anthony Labruto narrates the story.
John Collins was already a musician in his British homeland when he moved and settled permanently in Ghana. But it wasn't his first trip to the African nation.
I came to Ghana as a child, not with any purpose, but then I came back to Ghana in 1969 to be with my dad, because my parents, my mum and dad had divorced, so I wanted to be with my father.
Today, he is a well-known figure in Ghana and West Africa, mainly for his work on popular and neo-traditional music, including highlife and Afrobeat.
I joined so many different bands, I formed so many bands. I went to Nigeria, I played with people like Victor Owaifu, and worked a lot with Fela Kuti, Anikulapo Kuti in Nigeria, worked with bands in Ghana, went on TV, I did so many things, but it was all a labor of love.
John Collins has also worked as a music journalist, writer, and historian. His academic publications on African popular and neo-traditional music are used in universities all over the world. But, he says, living in Ghana was not all that smooth for him.
Well, it's very tough, of course. I mean, I never in Britain experienced things like coups and curfews, shortages, and so on. Dumso, all these things.
Here, at the University of Ghana's music department, Collins helped structure a course in popular and traditional music and taught for many years. He inspired his former student, Eric Suno Do, to become a music lecturer in the department.
And what fascinated me about him was, like you're saying, that here is a foreigner, a white man, teaching us our music, whilst our people were teaching his kind of music. So I found that to be quite interesting, intriguing, and that is what drew me more closer to him.
Collins married a Ghanaian and has a son and a grandchild. He feels that it is the Ghanaian people who have made his stay in Africa memorable.
All I've been talking about is not about the climate, not about the food, the sunshine. Everything that's positive is ultimately people. It's people who create the world.
Collins has spent his career learning popular and traditional Ghanaian music and helped inspire young Ghanaian musicians like these ones who gather here at the University of Ghana every month to keep both genres alive. For Isaac Kaledzi in Accra, Ghana, this is Anthony Labruto, VOA News.
Popular Mexican actor Eugenio Derbez has made it in Hollywood. His bilingual comedy, Acapulco, on Apple TV is critically acclaimed and has put his work in front of new audiences. The show's star and producer spoke with Veronica Villafañe about his mission to create an authentic, family-friendly series that positively represents his home country.
It all started with a job at Las Colinas.
Bilingual comedy Acapulco, now in its third season, has become a global hit for Apple TV and its star, Dad? Mexican actor Eugenio Derbez, who is also the show's co-executive producer.
It was 1985.
Set against the backdrop of 1980s Acapulco, Mexico, it weaves between the past and present as Derbez, who plays multimillionaire Máximo Gallardo,
I can be tough when I
narrates embellished memories of his rags to riches life. Along the way, he reflects on his younger self, played by Enrique Arrison, through stories full of humor, love, and life's lessons.
In Acapulco, it's like something fresh. You can watch Acapulco with your kids, with your abuelitas, with anyone, and you're going to enjoy it. What's up, Memo?
The series is about the importance of family, friendship, doing the right thing, and staying true to oneself. Its feel-good, nostalgic storyline resonates across cultures, says Acapulco co-creator and executive producer Austin Winsberg.
Young Maximo is someone who wants a better life for himself and his family. The stories that we're telling are workplace stories, romance stories, underdog stories. These are things that I think anybody can relate to globally.
Derbez says he was troubled by negative portrayals of Mexico in film and television and wanted to do something to change that narrative.
In Acapulco, you can see that Mexico is more than just violence and narcos.
Producers say having a predominantly Hispanic team of creatives, writers, cast, and on-location crew was crucial in building an authentic story that challenges negative stereotypes and provides more accurate representation.
Resources to keep evolving.
However, Derbez acknowledges there's a lot more work to be done. In the meantime, he revels in knowing that Acapulco continues to win hearts around the world through the power of great storytelling.
Buckle your seatbelt.
Veronica Villafaña for VOA News, Los Angeles.
South Africa reached their first ever Cricket World Cup final in June, marking a historic moment in the country's cricketing history since joining the international cricket community. The Proteas, South Africa's men's national cricket team, decided to temporarily relax their quota system for the tournament held across the United States and West Indies, much to the delight of their supporters. In Johannesburg, South Africa, Zahir Kasim takes a look at how cricket is shifting from focus on race to one centered on merit.
On this cricket field, the pitch requires a swift roll. For Sean Noble, a seasoned groundsman at Johannesburg's Rivoli Cricket Club, this moment is significant. Noble, a cricket enthusiast for almost 2 decades, had hoped that the Proteas, South Africa's men's national cricket team, would win their first international trophy at the 2024-2020 World Cup tournament hosted in the West Indies and the United States.
This final means to me that it's very important to our country and that this is the first time that we're not going to choke in the final.
South Africa had a promising start, but faltered against India in the final stages, causing the cricket team to miss out on the trophy. This tournament also marked a relaxation from the quota system that had been enforced over the past decade, which required at least half the squad to compromise players of colour to ensure inclusive representation post-apartheid. Ashwin Desai, the author of a book on cricket looking at post-apartheid South Africa, explains how the excellence of players of colour has led to the call to drop the quota system.
Constantly the quota or targets were being questioned and re-engineered. But I think there's a solid body of evidence that quotas could be anti-black. Why are they anti-black? Because originally when they came into being, it was to deal with white gatekeeping. But most of the cricket unions are run by black people. The selection committee is overwhelmingly black. And so the idea that there could be racial gatekeeping starts to lose its resonance.
Noble shares Desai's sentiments.
You select a person on merit, not on name, color, or creed.
But I feel like we should just get our best people, especially for a World Cup. We should have our best people in the lineup.
Despite the national team fielding only 3 players of colour, 1 short of the mandated quota, some fans rallied behind the Proteas, advocating for a merit-based system.
So we would like to see better representation. However, at the same time, we want to see the South African national team best represented in terms of abilities and in terms of who can get the job done.
I think it's not fair at all because you are forced to bring people who are not competent. You are forced to take some people who are more competitive than others and drop them just because of this issue of race and all those things.
Many cricket experts and fans expect a return to the traditional quota system, which has been in place since 1999. However, the 2024-2020 World Cup highlighted a desire among fans for on-field results, no matter who achieves them. Siri Kasim, VOA Africa, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Marjorie Goldberg is a wood sculptor and gallery owner in Washington, D.C., who has been heavily involved in the city's arts community for decades. She also runs a nonprofit that teaches D.C. residents woodworking skills. VOA's Jeff Swikod brings us the story.
My first sculpture class was in Rochester, New York, when I was 10 years old. It was at that moment that I knew who I was and what I was going to do. Art is it's kind of an expression of your soul, of your experiences. And I had been taking years of dance class before then, from the age of 4. So I really love dance and I really love sculpture. You know, I mean, what is sculpture but dance, you know, in a moment in time? When I came to Washington and GW, and it was really the revolution years, 68 to 72. I have always been a truth to power person. I have never been afraid to speak my mind loudly, where I got my nickname in college, which is Megaphone Margie. You know, I did art, I did dance. I was very interested in Eastern religion. I figured I'm going to spend my life in art, so I want a well-rounded degree. And your art is only as good as your life experiences. One of my clients was the National Association of Home Builders, and they put out a statistic that said within 5 years, 50% of all carpenters are going to be retiring. It is the most endangered trade in this country and in Europe. We wrote a grant to build a mobile wood shop.
This is spinning this way.
And to train a new generation of carpenters.
Whoa, that's so good.
What we often do is teach young kids how to turn things on a lathe, which they just adore doing. But I just felt that most schools don't have wood shops anymore, and they need a trade. I mean, I know the percentage of kids that went to college from my high school, 98%. There isn't one school in the city that would even come close to that. Tonight there's classes here in our stationary wood shop. It was just something that I really had wanted to do and felt there was a need for the city. We really built something. Now we're helping a lot of students.
Thanks for watching VOA's Red Carpet. I'm your host, Sunday Shomari. For more new entertainment news, check us out on voaafrica.com, on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye, everyone.
Hello and welcome to VOA's Red Carpet. I'm Jackson Vunganyi. This week on the Red Carpet, we chat with trailblazing Kenyan DJ Fully Focused on the early days of Afrobeats in America. A new Netflix series that is made in India has put a spotlight on the historic red light district in Pakistan. Plus, we spend some time with members of the New York Metro blind hockey team. And finally, we end the show with Zimbabwean percussionist and singer Blessing Shimanga here at the Voice of America. Let's get get on with the show. Trailblazing Kenyan DJ Fully Focus is without doubt one of the reasons behind the massive popularity of Afrobeats music in North America. His career began as a DJ at a college radio studio where his love for music first found a platform. It wasn't long before his burgeoning talent and unique sound caught the attention of partygoers and club owners in major cities like Atlanta, where he quickly established himself as a formidable presence in the city's vibrant music scene. We caught up with him in Atlanta a few hours before flying to Nairobi to chat about his career and the early days of Afrobeats in America. Let's check it out. Mike Ondungu, better known as DJ Fully Focused, currently splits his time between Nairobi and Atlanta. His popular festival, Passport Experience, embodies a fusion of African and American musical sensibilities. This unique blend is the hallmark of his style, captivating diverse audiences and fostering a global community of music lovers. I asked him to look back at some of the early milestones in his career.
There's been a couple. The first is being able to have my own U.S. tour. Again, in my first year of entertainment, was being able to have a whole U.S. tour where I started getting bookings all over the country. And then the next one was 10 years ago when I did my first world tour, playing in London, Amsterdam, Belgium, Dubai, Rwanda, Kenya, which represented people, kind of demanding to, my presence in these different markets. And then just being on stage with different artists here and there at different times.
One of DJ Fully Focus's most significant contributions to the music world is his role in popularizing Afrobeats. Long before the genre gained international acclaim, he was one of the first DJs to regularly incorporate Afrobeats into his performances. He addresses the relationship between the artist and the DJ as symbiotic.
I think it's one of those amazing things where you have to be aware of the role you're playing for the artist in terms of you're helping them push the music, and so you kind of want to maintain a good relationship and just know your value, know your position, know your value, that you are a very important piece of the puzzle. And so I always try to maintain those good relationships when they have new music, helping them break that music, because with artists, it's like an up and down season. Sometimes they're hot, sometimes they're not, but you always have to maintain that relationship, real good artists, they do appreciate that. They do appreciate it. Not all, but most do appreciate that.
Recognizing Afrobeat's potential, DJ Fully Focused championed it enthusiastically, working with early stars like Wizkid, Davido, and Timaya. By promoting their music and organizing events and concerts that featured these artists, Fully Focused played a pivotal role in bringing Afrobeats to a broader audience. I asked him if ever he foresaw the rapid growth of the genre.
I'd be lying if I said that with everything that's happening right now, I could see the details of it. I knew it was going to be big. I knew it was going to be phenomenal, and that's why I was championing it, for it very, very hard. I didn't know it was going to happen in my lifetime. To be able to see this, for us to be able to fill, stadiums, arenas. To this day, I still get a kick out of hearing radio stations playing it. Because, 10 plus years ago, I was the guy playing this music on radio, and, program directors are like, no, this is not, don't play this. Or in the mainstream clubs, club owners are like, no, we don't want to hear this. So it's amazing now that you cannot have a party without African music, and radio stations cannot, sustain without playing, when they cannot sustain, but you have to hear African music. So it's an amazing thing, and it's very exciting to see what's about to happen.
A new Netflix series that is made in India has put a historic red light district in Pakistan in the spotlight. Set in the eastern city of Lahore, Heramandi, the Diamond Bazaar is one of the most popular non-English series on the streaming platform. But as VOA's Pakistan Bureau Chief Sarah Zamani reports, not everyone is happy with the attention.
Nestled in the alleys of Old Lahore is the Mughal-era Shahi Mohalla, or the Royal Neighborhood. In its heart lies Hira Mandi, the historic red light district of Pakistan's eastern metropolis. It's in the spotlight these days, thanks to the Netflix series Hira Mandi, The Diamond Bazaar.
Sir, these tawafs are very powerful.
The 8-part fictional drama by acclaimed Indian filmmaker Sanjay Leela Bhansali focuses on the role of courtesans in India's independence movement. A month since its May 1st release, Hira Mandi remains in the top 10 most viewed non-English series on the streaming platform.
Camera crews are coming every day to film the streets, but these streets are nothing like what the series shows.
The streets where sunset long ago ushered the sound of women singing and dancing to entertain men now reverberate with the noise of motorbikes and rickshaws. Balconies where performers once waited for clients show glimpses of lost grandeur. Artisans at the few remaining music stores are barely getting by.
Business has reduced a lot. There are few singers and musicians. A lot of people are coming these days, but we don't talk to them. It's a waste of time.
A push to dismantle the red light district where performing arts and prostitution thrived in the shadow of a centuries-old Mughal-era mosque and fort came in the 1980s during the rule of conservative military dictator Zia-ul Haq. But Shagufta Begum chose to stay. She was only 12 when she started singing for crowds.
We used to practice in the morning. At night, the bazaar would be set up, and we would go there to perform. In the era of Zia, it all shut down. He said, "This is not acceptable. Shut it down."
Arts died in the area decades ago, and sex work diminished as well. But the rich culinary culture of Old Lahore helped revive a lane as a food street. Shagufta Begum's son Abrar Hussain runs a popular restaurant on the roof of their home. He's working on a video series to preserve the area's history.
When this area was booming, people would hesitate to come here. It would hurt their dignity. But thanks to Sanjay Leela Bhansali, people are thinking about this area. TikTokers are coming to make videos. No one used to come before.
But Hussein's wife Misbah is not happy with the attention.
Our house is being highlighted. TikTokers are making videos. TV channels are asking strange, prying questions. I really don't like this.
Hira Mandi was hardly as opulent as the neighborhood in the Netflix series. But many famous Pakistani actresses and singers once called it home. Shagufta Begum misses those times.
It should come back, but it won't. The religious lobby won't let it.
As night falls, customers come to enjoy the restaurants. As for those expecting to see a red light district as depicted on screen, Hira Mandi only has stories to offer. Sara Zaman, VOA News, Lahore, Pakistan.
We spent some time with members of the New York Metro blind hockey team where visually impaired players learn and play an adaptive form of ice hockey with incredible skill. These inspiring athletes show that determination knows no limits. Aaron Fodo has the story.
This is a normal size regulation puck. This is a puck for blind hockey. This puck has no sound. This has 8 ball bearings in it, so they not only hear it slide on the ice, but they hear it rattling around, which a lot of times the goalie, I'll ask him, how does he pick the puck out of the air? And he just points to his ears. He goes, I hear the puck in the air. I hear the sound.
I found out about the league when my mom was looking into sports for me, when she found out that in school I was doing very bad in gym class. The gym teacher always would say, no, you have a visual impairment, you're not allowed to play in the gym class, you're gonna get hurt. When I first put on skates, I was so scared, like I was crying. I was extremely scared. My mom literally had to drag me onto the ice, and then I realized, oh, it's not that bad.
Basically the same game as hockey, except once they cross the blue line, the ref has an electronic whistle. They have to make one pass before they can shoot. That whistle lets them know they have to make the pass, also lets the goalie know that there's a potential shot coming on net. Once the puck goes into the crease and it falls to the ice, it's dead. Where in regular hockey, you could still play the puck, it's automatically dead and there's a face-off in the other circle. Other than that, it's basically regular hockey. We've got from beginners right now to Josh, who's on the national team. I'm hoping that it becomes a Paralympic sport. Right now, it's not. Their goal is for 2028 right now in Los Angeles. Hopefully, they'll get it to there.
Just that you can do anything you put your mind to, even if you're blind.
Another celly, I want a celly.
Blessing Chimanga is a talented percussionist and singer hailing from Zimbabwe. With a unique blend of traditional Zimbabwean rhythms and contemporary influences, Chimanga's music is a true reflection of his cultural roots and artistic creativity. He was interviewed by Music Time in Africa's Heather Maxwell here at VOA, where he showcased his musical skills by playing and singing Maruva Enyika. Let's check it out.
Blessing Chimanga, it is so great to have you at VOA.
Well, this is a dream come true.
Oh. What are you going to play for us?
I think a good start is let me play Maruva Enyika, which was my first ever single, 2015. I was a drummer for many years, and then I decided I want to start my own project, and I wrote this song. Maruva Enyika means flowers of the world, and it pretty was good and big in Zimbabwe. It's a beautiful love song. We played a lot of weddings with it. And it was the beginning of my journey, and today being with you on VOA, after meeting you in Zimbabwe and be like, one day I'm going to meet you, we're going to do it in the US.
Right.
And finally it's happening.
Yes.
I think let's take it from the beginning.
Let's do that.
Let's play this one.
All right. Chisegana jangu Domuritzire ngom Domutambira ere Sudatara Kuti andide.
Thank you for watching VOA's Red Carpet. I'm Jackson Vunganyi. For more entertainment news, remember to check us out at voaafrica.com. We are also on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Do not forget to like, to share, and to subscribe. Until next time, goodbye everyone.
Local government financial autonomy. Makinde sets a committee to review Supreme Court judgment As a former governor of Ekiti State, Fayose says autonomy won't work. I am Bola Oba. Fits is plus politics. Local government financial autonomy, Supreme Court judgment. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has constituted a special technical and legal committee to review the recent Supreme Court judgment on local government financial autonomy.